This woman spent her days at the station writing letters for illiterate people, but when she returned home at night, she would open each letter one by one. Not only did she freely share other people's privacy, but she would also tear up any letters she deemed inappropriate. Those she deemed acceptable, she would place in a drawer filled with letters. However, despite promising to mail the letters for others, she never sent a single one. This way, she could earn 2 yuan for each letter. However, one day, a mother and son suddenly came looking for her, asking if the letter they had written the day before had been mailed. The woman dared not say that she had torn up the letter, so she lied and said she would take it to the post office today. The boy's mother was overjoyed upon hearing this, as she had wanted to revise the content of the letter. The woman hurriedly pulled out a letter from the pile, pretended it was the one they had written, and tore it up on the spot. This way, she could earn an extra $1 in writing fees. However, the boy's mother, who had just had the letter written, was accidentally hit by a bus while crossing the street. The person who was alive just a moment ago had suddenly passed away. The boy suddenly became an orphan with no home. He cried as he found the woman, wanting to write another letter to his father to inform him of his mother's unexpected death. But instead of showing any mercy to the poor boy, the woman demanded payment up front. The boy had no money to pay, so he tried to modify the letter his mother had written earlier. However, the woman refused outright, claiming she had already sent the letter. The next day, the woman arrived at the station as usual and saw the boy lying on the ground asleep. She approached him and handed him a piece of bread. But this wasn't because she had a change of heart. She had already set her sights on the boy. The next day, Mary took him to an unfamiliar place, saying she was going to help him get placed in a wealthy family in Europe or America. But in reality, she was going to sell him. Her friend gave her a commission of 1,000 yuan. Mary used that money to buy the latest model TV. Her best friend was very surprised because, as far as she knew, Mary couldn't possibly have that much money. After her repeated questioning, Mary finally confessed that she had sent George to an adoption agency. But after hearing this, her best friend flew into a rage and scolded Mary for having no limits. Her best friend's scolding kept Mary tossing and turning all night, thinking that she might have indirectly become a murderer. She couldn't fall asleep all night. The next morning, she dug out a few photos of the children from an old envelope, took what little savings she had left, and returned to the same agency from the previous day. She handed the photos to the woman who had received her last time, claiming she had a few more children to trade. The woman couldn't make a decision and said she needed to consult with her boss. Mary took the opportunity to sneak into George's room and urged him to follow her out. Though the two had temporarily escaped death, Mary dared not forget the trafficker's threats, so Mary decided to send the boy to find his father first. But despite Mary's efforts to make amends, George remained deeply resentful of her previous deception. The two did not speak a single word to each other along the way, until they transferred trains midway. George asked Mary to help him buy a new outfit to meet his father, whom he had been longing to see day and night. Their relationship finally began to improve. Finally, they arrived at the town where George's father lived. With the guidance of the locals, they arrived at a spacious farm. George was eager to meet his father, whom he had never met before. However, after waiting for the man of the house to return home, he said he didn't recognize George. Mary thought he didn't want to acknowledge the child, so she took out the letter left by George's mother. But after reading the signature on the letter, the man suddenly smiled and told